Danse, welcome back. Now we want to invite Danielle Boyer on the talk, 3 Things Tech Has Taught Me.
Hello everyone, my name is Danielle Boyer and I am so blessed to be speaking with you all here at the National Indigenous Virtual Tech Conference by Clear Sky Connections. Welcome to my talk on 3 things that tech has taught me. I'm 20 years old and I'm a robotics inventor, author, environmental activist, and educational advocate for youth. My mother is Ojibwe and we are from the Sault Ste. Marie Band in Michigan. I live in Troy, Michigan. I've been teaching kids since I was 10 years old and saw that my little sister was interested in science and technology, but that there were no classes offered for her. I create innovative learning solutions utilizing robots that I invent and give to kids for free to make technical education accessible. Armed with a desire to make the technical educational space an equitable one, I created the STEAM Connection, a nonprofit that has helped me reach hundreds of thousands of youth worldwide. We are a team of all students and minorities who want to provide the resources for kids that we never had. Our tools champion the educational space and cost less than $20 to manufacture. I am honored also to be one of People's Girls Changing the World, a Brower Youth Award winner, and a L'Oreal Paris Women of Worth. I was recently honored in Women of Worth, an NBC special, and was the cover story for the recent ACES Winds of Change magazine. Thank you, ACES. Go check it out. I'm speaking with you today from my workshop and nonprofit headquarters in Troy, Michigan in the United States. I will be talking about 3 things that tech has taught me as a robotics designer and entrepreneur, and share about my tech journey, how we can foster our own work, and how we can foster the future through accessible education. I'm going to show you a few clips of my students, my robots, and a bit more about us here at the STEAM Connection.
The team that I'm a part of makes the work that I do possible. Let me give you a tour actually of my workshop here at the STEAM Connection. The STEAM Connection is my nonprofit that I started. We are all youth, we're all minorities, and we help kids learn about science, tech, engineering, art, and math, and we do it in a project-based and culturally competent way. The project that I'm the proudest of is Every Kid Gets a Robot, my robot that costs less than $20 and goes to kids for free. Together, my team and I, we all solder our motor controllers, we manufacture all the robot kits, and we send them out to tens of thousands of kids. They are what makes my work possible, and we're able to reach so many kids in like 12 countries now, and hundreds of thousands of kids with classes and many different educational resources.
The first lesson focuses on my journey when I realized that through tech, you have the power to make positive change. When I was younger, I worked with local robotics teams. It was so much fun, but it didn't take me long before I saw a problem. My students, my family, we couldn't afford expensive educational resources, and we were left behind. In an increasingly tech-driven world, we need to know how to code. We need to be able to talk about tech. We need to be able to engage in tech at parity with our peers. We need people who can continue to talk about things like racist algorithms and to advocate for change. What happens when kids with the most resources pursue jobs later on? Will they be more equipped than the kids who didn't have those resources? Yeah, honestly, probably, right? I found that the answer to this technical educational gap in regards to certain beginning tech skills in things like electrical engineering and mechanical engineering and computer science, they would be solved with technology, robotics specifically, because it intersects all of the important skills that I wanted to teach. I never made a robot. I'd never seen an educational robot that cost less than like $400. So what to do? I studied hard and made a lot of errors, a lot. But I eventually created Every Kid Gets a Robot. It's a robot that costs less than $20 and goes to kids for free. Through my nonprofit, we've distributed almost 5,000 robots and have tens of thousands of educators and students on our virtual learning platform, making robots every single day. We began testing our students to see if robots were really working. I saw students go from getting literally a 20% on our tech exams before using the robots to an average of a 70% afterward. The robots were making a difference, and I didn't just see it in the data. My students said it. If a small little robot could make a difference, what else could? Now, it took me a year or more to see myself as someone capable of making a difference, or as someone who could one day be an engineer. I'm still studying to be an engineer. I'm studying mechanical engineering and electrical engineering right now, with one day hopes to be a biorobotics engineer, which is the biological, it's the emulation of biological organisms, either mechanically or chemically. For a long time, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm bad at chemistry, but honestly, I love both. And it's been a really fun journey. I'm saying this because I know some of you are probably in a similar place in your journey. Don't let it take you another year to take up that space in the tech industry. Don't let white institutions tell you what you're worth. Also know that even if your ideas feel small or insignificant, they can make a bigger impact than you think. Whether you're in academia or run a business or wherever you are at in life, tech has the power to aid you on your journey. I think that's a beautiful thing. The second lesson focuses on your journey, is that tech is full of opportunity, no matter where you are at in your career. When I was getting started in robotics, I saw people in engineering and tech as software developers. That was it. I thought you had to get a degree and that it was really, really hard to break into. It seemed impossible and out of reach for me. I didn't realize how many options there were or how tech is ingrained into our everyday lives. The biggest thing I've learned is to invest in learning new things if you can, even if you don't always want to. This can mean everything from like a new programming language to reading up on tech news to learn those weird acronyms that you see across your Twitter feed. The more that I learned about up and coming technologies and have studied it, the more that I've been able to come up with more ideas and inventions. This is especially useful if you're an entrepreneur or an aspiring entrepreneur. I've even had it come up in interviews. Because I've been studying more about like additive manufacturing, for example, I've been able to work on an invention that intersects biodegradability and robotics and could potentially revolutionize the educational robotics sector. I just submitted it to Verizon, by the way, and a challenge of theirs, and I got funding for the concept. This is a lesson to believe in your ideas and your goals. Like my mentee, a 13-year-old, invented a robot that cleans up recyclables off of school floors. She's 13, that's crazy. The robot's name is Auto Oscar, and it is the cutest thing ever. We actually co-host a podcast together called Hands-On Techie Talks. It's on environmental innovation for kids, so be sure to listen if you're interested. We're on like a Spotify, Apple Podcast, stuff like that. Vinny and I, that's her name, we can only know so much and have so much life experience because of our ages. But we're active learners. We read and study new software. We ask for free software. We ask for funding. We get a lot of no's, but it's the yeses that matter, right? Don't be afraid to ask questions or be afraid of things like rejection from companies when you ask questions or you ask for help. And don't be afraid to collaborate with others, especially Native-run companies. With there being opportunity, people look to take advantage of those in tech who aren't white men. Stand up for yourself by working with other Native organizations. I once was pressured into inventing a whole robot for a large corporation, and I wasn't paid. I should have never said yes, and I regret doing it. And I would have avoided it if I had joined support networks like Natives in Tech, or the American Indian Science and Engineering Society, or the Dell Women Entrepreneurship Network. ACES, for example, is the reason why I'm a confident technologist. I owe them for where I am now. Having that support network and having those people there who can support you is so important, because when you step into many tech spaces, people are going to shoot you down for just things you can't control. And you need to have people who are going to have your back and who can stand up for you in those situations. A huge thing that I've done is when I do talks, especially when I'm kind of uncomfortable, I actually bring in my friends to like co-host, I guess, the talk with me, co-do a talk. And we get to do the talk together, and it makes it a lot easier because I know they're going to stand up for me if someone says something inappropriate, or if I'm just really uncomfortable and like kind of claim up a little bit. Having those people there to support you is so important, and it makes it a lot easier. And I bring now my crew around when I go to events and things, and we support each other because it can be really ridiculous out there. And having that support network, having those people who care about you, it is so important, and it is honestly such a beautiful thing too. The third and final lesson focuses on others, and is that fostering the future doesn't have to be expensive or inaccessible. I think that we owe it to future generations to use our skills and to teach our youth, especially if we have skills in tech ranging from like programming to even how to send an email. It doesn't matter how old we are or how much experience we have. Our presence makes a difference at every stage. I like to call them STEAM, so science, technology, engineering, art, and math superpowers, because the topics intersect so much and are really important for kids to know. My superpower is robotics. I'm wondering, what is yours? You can say in the chat. But our youth don't see many role models in tech who have the same cultural background or backgrounds. We need to speak up and share what we know. Let's be the role models that we never had. But practically, how do we do this? The tech educational world is trendy, and that means things like robots are super expensive. When engaging in rural communities with my robots, the topic of Wi-Fi came up. How on earth do you run a robotics program when you don't have internet access? My nonprofit is small. We're student run. We don't have the infrastructure to provide internet. I wish we did, but the answer to this specific question was simple. Add a pre-programmed loop to the microcontroller of the robot. The robots could be assembled, wired, and then run without the internet on the kid's end. I could talk for hours about affordable technical education, believe me. But think about the principles leading up to using your computer. Get out a whiteboard or a piece of paper and work on the design process. Design robots, with your students or with your siblings or with your kids. One of my favorite design challenges is I have my students draw what they think a robot should look like or does look like, and they come up with some really wild creations, and it's a lot of fun for them too. The free browser software, the SolidWorks app for kids, has been a life changer for us here at the STEAM Connection. We're able to design crazy cool creatures. They have things like googly eyes, and you can actually download the part as an STL file and eventually 3D print it if you want to. Most of my stuff, most of my robots are 3D printed in a bioplastic called PLA, or polylactic acid, and it's made of recycled plastic. I highly recommend checking that out. There's some cheap 3D printers out there that are really, really nice, actually. And you can get your wear out of them, especially if you are working with kids, because they certainly know how to tax the 3D printers out. But yeah, check it out. Also on the app for kids, you can print things in a cube shape too if you don't have a 3D printer, and I really recommend those resources. Also utilize what you already have, like a cardboard box. You can even have your students draw different designs from different perspectives on a box. That's a lot of fun. Kids also like demolition. That's fun too. Things like DC motors can be accessible. Check out resources like the free robot resource 20 that I invented on my website at www.steamconnection.org. It's actually this buddy right here. The students can decorate it, so it's a little less terrifying. Whether it's your kids or community, let's get learning. Honestly, who doesn't love robots? Software resources can be really cheap, but they rely on the internet often. So think outside of the box by teaching your kids, for example, about like the physics behind traditional farming practices. It's a lot of fun and a lot of kids don't know. Anyways, and of course, you can always reach out to me if you have any questions. Thank you for listening to my short talk on 3 things that technology has taught me. If you would like to learn more about my work, check out my website at www.steamconnection.org. Thank you so much for your time, and I'm eager to answer your questions.